Welcome to the Raw Food Health Empowerment Podcast, where we delve into the powerful benefits of a holistic, high raw vegan lifestyle for achieving optimal health, brain function, and overall well being. Today, I want to talk about deserving wellness, right? This idea, do I deserve to be well? And I know some of you may be feeling like maybe you don't deserve it. And which I find interesting. It made me do some deep self-reflection if I've ever been in that space. And so I'm going to share a story with you because I've been on the clean eating journey for so long that I feel like many of the obstacles I don't really have like those obstacles. But when it comes to strength training, getting into the strength training regimen, I can relate a lot to like doing a new thing and feeling like you don't really belong in a space or it's just so different, right? So when I got the idea to really step up strength training, which was basically going on this journey of understanding what is energy, what gives us energy, other than the nutrition piece. I think it was Ari Witten's, I think that's how you pronounce his last name, book, where he talks about energy, he talks about the mitochondria, and some of the stuff he says is, okay, this is not nutrition science, but there was some things that he was saying in the book that made a lot of sense, especially around the mitochondria and how can we support the mitochondria of each cell in order to have metabolic health, because that ultimately is what gives us the energy, the vibrancy to live, to maneuver this life. And in that, he mentioned strength training. Now, of course, in Dr. Greger's book, How Not to Age, he goes into more detail on this because this is a pretty big deal when it comes to aging, keeping youthfulness, keeping our independence, keeping the cognitive function of our brain so we can continue to be free and not be dependent on others as we age. And this also in my brain health training, it came up a lot. Strength training, especially the lower body. And I had already been experiencing pain in my right ankle and right knee where I had to spend some money with orthopedist visits and just being really intentional about the exercises I do and how I do them and all of that. And so on that, I got into the world of bodybuilding, like leaning into what do these people do? What's the logic behind it? And also to me, what am I willing to do to really, because I wasn't really trying to get the body of a bodybuilder. However, I have a lot of respect for the aesthetics of their body and the work that goes into creating that. And I'm like, if I can even get 10% of that, just 10%, I feel energy, metabolic health, cognitive function will just be on 10. If I could just get 10% of that. So that's where I was mentally when I started this thing like over a year ago. It's almost coming up 2 years soon. And I'm the nutrition piece is what it is. It's like who is gonna hit this amount of protein unless you're eating processed foods? I couldn't figure that part out, but I just did the best I could. But really the struggle I noticed came in with the gym piece, the working out. Now, really it didn't feel like too much of a struggle because I have my own like adjustable weights, and so I'm like, okay, I could do this in the gym. But these folks, there's a lot of heavy emphasis on using the equipment in the gym because of how heavy you can lift and push, and there's a lot of intentionality around that. And so I got to a place where I was trying to enter the weight room and do those workouts, but I was so intimidated. Like, I'm like, this space is not for me. These are for the bros. These are for like the folks who lift, I don't know, 200, 300 pounds. Like, it was just, I just felt so uncomfortable. Like, I didn't want to be seen. I didn't want to be heard. I didn't want to have a conversation with anybody, see anyone waiting for a machine. Like, I just felt so uncomfortable. And I don't know if you all know this, but I'm actually in the middle of a practicum on my journey to get my board certification in health coaching. And for health coaches who may be listening, you don't necessarily have to get a board certification. I had been looking at the practicum for a long time because I really was excited about the 50 coaching hours that you have to, not 50 coaching hours, but the 50 coaching sessions that you have to do in the practicum, in order to sit for the board exam. And it just dives deeper into the psychology and the logic around coaching, all the different techniques, all the different things. And because I love coaching so much, like, I like doing it and I've experienced the power of it, I just was really intrigued by it. So I decided to do it, especially now I'm in a space where I feel like a lot of physicians that I look up to actually know who I am and they're paying attention to me, which is, I feel like, oh, maybe I should have this. Maybe I don't need to, because obviously we're in communication without it, but I'm going for it. And I like the experience of meeting other people who are serious about being serious about coaching. And so in the practicum, you coach each other, right, on the journey, just practicing different techniques and stuff like this. And it was one young woman that's in my cohort that she coached me, and I was talking about, we were coaching on something. So I was trying to channel a different person's challenge to mix it with myself, because a lot of us coaches, some of us, I don't know, let me speak for me. I'm a very good client because I've already experienced coaching. I've been coaching for a long time. And so I already know, so some of the things that people deal with why they go to see a coach, I don't really deal with those things when it comes to health, let's say, okay? Because not all areas is it like this. But ambivalence is not something I can really relate to because I'm pretty decisive. And if you show me where I have some cognitive dissonance, I will close that gap quickly. That's just me. But I've had clients where I want to release the fat, I want to pass on health legacy, but I also want the beef patties. And I'm just like, let me just do the patties. I even talked to another coach in the practicum who was like, in our coaching session, I am fully convinced about the science and the evidence around alcohol being toxic. So I want to cut back. And at the same time, and I want to live till 110. At the same time, it's fun and I like it. And so I want to have it 3 days a week. I had before 4 days a week. Now I want to do 3 days a week. And that's what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. So it's like you're convinced that it's toxic, but you still want to have it 3 days a week. To me, it looks like cognitive dissonance, right? And so that's a kind of level of like ambivalence, but she was really clear on what she wants. And so as a coach, I hone in on what she wants and help her to achieve her goal. That's the whole goal of coaching. Not necessarily to change a person's mind. That's not what we're doing. That's not what we're doing. But it's interesting because some people will have that reflected back and be like, you know what? Wait a minute. But who knows? Because that's the whole thing with coaching. You have this conversation and you may be so set in it at the time, but that conversation marinates in your head and you may even change your mind later. But anyway, I had this conversation with this coach around strength training, and I brought up the issue of going into the gym and using the machines and feeling so uncomfortable, which it was at the time making me not want to go in there. So I was struggling to be consistent because I didn't want to be in a space where I had to share machines and then people coming up to me, and then she was like, was there a situation? And I shared a situation. The first time in the beginning when I tried this, right? I entered the weight room, and it was a beautiful gym, a really nice elite gym that I was a part of. I went into the weight room for the first time, okay? And I went to a machine, and this guy came over, and I saw there was a water bottle there, but I just thought someone left it. And he came over, he's like, "You're going to use this machine because I'm using it." I said, "Okay, that's fine, I'm sorry." Something like that. But I can't even remember what the conversation was. If he had just come and he was like, "How long are you going to be there?" or something like that, whatever it was. I can't even remember what it was. But the fact that we even had a conversation, it was like the worst. Like, I was like, this was the worst case scenario, because this is exactly what I was trying to avoid. I was trying to avoid conversation. I didn't want to be seen. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to feel like I had to be rushed off a machine, or it's just the whole uncomfortability of it. And anyway, in that conversation with the coach, I had an aha moment inside of me. This is like imposter syndrome. Because she was asking me questions about like, why do you not feel like you belong? Like around the line, questions around the line. These folks who are in the gym also had a first day, and you don't get to where they are unless you have a first day. You have to go through all the things. It's just that this space, it seems to, and of course that's not, even when I say the things, I'm like, but that's not necessarily true. Like first I'm like, it seems to be male dominated. And yes, there's a lot of men, but in the two gyms I've been to, that gym and the one I'm in now, there are a lot of women, especially the one I'm in now, but there's a lot of women there. And like women that look serious. I don't know if they're necessarily bodybuilders or figure, because even in the bodybuilding world, they're like different categories you can go up and pose on or whatever. And some of these women, like, you could tell they're serious, because like their posture, there's something about these bodybuilders, and the guys too. It's as if a rod is going up and down their back. Their posture is perfect. And these women, I mean, they're like fit, you know, like in all the right places, you know, thick, thick, right? So definitely, like, I wouldn't say I'm at a gym that's more like Cardi B's than Megan Thee Stallion's running around. But anyway, I'm inspired. Like, I'm inspired by, like, I look at it and I'm like, your nutrition may be complete trash, but you clearly are getting that in, because building muscle is a whole different beast. It takes a lot of effort and intentionality. Like everything they do, like you basically step into a sport. Bodybuilding is a sport, and you have to enter the mind of an athlete, because everything you do is intentional, right? It's not just about losing weight or gaining muscle. It's intentional, like intentional work to get a certain aesthetic, to make things look even, and all the whatevers. Because I'm just like skating the surface of it, not really that deep into it. But anyway, in this conversation around deserving wellness, right? That was me then at the beginning of getting into strength training, getting into the weight room, just feeling like I didn't belong, not wanting to be seen, because I just felt like I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing on these machines. I don't feel confident at all here. And I feel like I'm going to be judged. I feel like other people are going to watch me and judge me. That's where my mind was at. And just in talking it out with the coach, I didn't even get into all my thoughts, but I realized that people are too busy working on their own bodies and their own goals to even spend time watching me. So, you know, and now, like, what helped me kind of break through that was working with a trainer. Because even when I started working with the trainer, she was like, okay, we're meeting this day, but you're going to come in this and this day, and you're going to do X, Y, Z. And I'm like, yeah, sure, okay. And I knew in my head, I'm not coming into this place by myself, because when she's with me, it's like having an escort. We go up to a machine and we just do the thing. She'll just walk through people, and at first I was really like, oh my God, don't look at me. And She's even gone up to people, how long are you going to be on this machine? Like stuff like that. And I'm like, wow, this place is her home. She feels super comfortable here. But I was not there. And now I see the way I run through that gym, it's like I come in on assignment. I don't have those thoughts that I used to have before, like, and those concerns. And that's because she didn't just have me go into the weight room. We went into even an area deep where the people doing some serious stuff. And she just having her like take me around, do workouts with me, and then me just building that comfortability, being in the space, being around these people who are doing this thing. Because I did not consider myself a body, like I just considered myself someone who cares about my health. I want to build strength, right? But like that level, like I just did not feel like I belonged. So this is where it's, oh, okay, this is imposter syndrome. This is imposter syndrome. And now, you know, when I'm doing my workouts, I like sometimes it's really hard. Like honestly, it's really hard because I do progressive overload. So each set I'm going up in weight and I'm cranking out. I'm like trying to crank out 10 reps and I'm at 6 and it's like, I don't know that I can do enough, you know? And it's like, it's hard sometimes. And it's in those moments I find myself really like channeling China. I don't know if any of you are familiar with WWE. I basically grew up watching wrestling, and this is where my grandma comes back into the story. So some of you have probably heard me talk about my grandma many times before. She's the whole reason why I do this work, because I basically watched her struggle with type 2 diabetes. And then eventually she had to get the long insulin injections in her stomach. That was for a few months. Then her big toe turned black. And 2 weeks from that point, she was home on hospice care. It was a gradual, quick decline, right? And 3-4 years later, I find Dr. Neil Barnard's program for reversing diabetes. And that book sent me on a whole emotional roller coaster, because in the book, he talks about the fact that you can reverse type 2 diabetes in 2 weeks with a whole food vegan diet. And so I'm like, my grandma was dealing with diabetes for almost 2 decades. And no one could tell us this information, that we could have reversed it, because we were fully in control of her nutrition. So it wasn't a matter of cravings or cheat days or whatever people are doing. Like, we were fully in control. She was immobile. We were in control. And anyway, she's the reason why I do this work, to let people know, first of all, that it can be reversed. And in doing this work, I realized some people, people are more scared of cancer than diabetes. The doctors are still not telling folks that type 2 diabetes can be reversed. They just put them on medicine. And so they're not given the opportunity. And number 2, cancer makes them really wake up. When they get a cancer diagnosis, oh my gosh, that's when the scare hits. But type 2 diabetes, it's almost, oh, everybody has it. Who cares? But it's, you could lose your limbs. Like, honestly, sometimes I think about the fact that we didn't get to amputate my grandmother because her body was in such bad shape. The doctors decided it wasn't worth to cut her up. And now I see that's a blessing that I didn't get to see her dismembered. I saw all of her when she was alive, because there's so many things about witnessing her whole struggle that still sits with me as like low level trauma. I wouldn't even call it low level trauma. It's a level of trauma. I'm gonna just put it at the like level of trauma. And that has affected me. There are things that people would do now that it seems natural that I can't do. Like, because of what I've experienced with her. But anyway, the reason why I brought her up, my grandma was a huge wrestling fan. And that's something that we did together. We would watch WCW and WWE. It used to be called WWF. Someone had already taken that name, that acronym. So they had to change it to WWE. So we were like in it. And this was my thing with my grandma. And I remember and this came up on a coaching call recently in my practicum, where this woman, she was asking me in coaching, why is because I had mentioned something like when it gets hard, I channel China, right? China is one of the original, like, she's the first female wrestler that I know of. I don't know if there was one before her. Maybe if you are a huge wrestling fan, let me know and drop it in the comments if one before her. But she's the first female wrestler that I've ever known of, right? And I watched her hold her own among all these men, and China was ripped. She could get in the ring and handle any man. And I grew up in the time of Xena, warrior, princess, so I'm all about this powerful women. I have powerful women in my family. My grandma was a powerful woman. Even at the end when she was screaming in pain on hospice, her voice was so strong. She had that, like, her body was failing, but that life force vitality was in her. And so, like, when I'm working out, I'm like, I'm channeling China, the strength, the resilience to be in an environment where you feel like maybe people are trying to make you feel like you don't belong, because she was in a male dominated sport, the only female wrestler, until there were others after her, but I don't even remember them to be. I know there's a lot of women wrestlers now, and I even found a vegan one too, which is super cool. But China was the first, and there's something about that, like the image of her and the way I remember her being and maneuvering. She's now since passed, rest in peace, China. But like, she's who I think of and channel in my workouts, because I may not get that body. If I get it or don't get it, that's not really the goal, but it's what the body signifies mentally, emotionally for me. That strength, that resilience, that's what I want. That's what her body signifies. That's what I remember her being and maneuvering. Her whole, like, they do character development in wrestling, and her character didn't go this deep, but this is what it means to me. And I'm pretty sure other young girls who probably grew up watching wrestling as well can relate to what I'm saying. But anyway, this journey of feeling just wanting to be small, and now walking in the weight room like I own the place, you know, or maybe not quite that I own the place, but like I walk in there, I realize I walk in there now like I deserve to be there. Like this is my place. Like this, I know what I'm here to do, and I'm about that life. And so it's been a journey for me to get there. So for those of you who have the doubt, you have the self-doubt of, can I eat clean? Can I do this consistently? Am I going to fail myself? You're not going to fail yourself unless you quit. And like I said, for me, with strength training has been hard. I've wanted to quit, but I don't quit because the science is there, and I want that. I desire a strong, healthy body. I desire a brain so big and strong that I could go toe to toe with anybody. Throw down. Tell me plant-based diet is not, you shouldn't be doing it for whatever health reason. And I'm going to tell you, da-da-da-da-da. Because the information is out there. It's just up to my mind to retain it and to be able to articulate it back in a way that is impactful, which means I need my brain sharp. I need it sharp. And plus my family, like I owe it to my family to use this body to be useful, because then why? What am I doing here? What is this for? And because I have the strong why, I have the evidence. It's emotional, it's logical. So I have both sides. And channeling these strong women, because in the coaching call I had mentioned China, and I mentioned Chef Babette because I was talking about stretching, how I'm struggling with remembering to stretch and how I'm feeling the impacts of that. And I remember Chef Babette talked about how she wished she had done a better job of that when she was younger. And this coach, she was like, oh, you're mentioning all these strong, powerful women. It hit me. Yeah, because that is a top value of mine. That's the legacy that's been passed down to me. I identify with it. But even though you identify with something because it's been passed down to you, you have to grow into it. It's like a bird coming out of its shell, right? You're like you're born. For us, sometimes it takes a long time, that emergence, that growth, to get strong in your legs, to start to stretch your wings, to take up space and really feel like you belong. And when I talk about stepping into a health identity for your family to pass on that health legacy, I realize for some people, it may feel like a stretch because you don't have any idea of that, right? You don't know, like you don't have any models, nothing to look to channel. And I understand that it could be difficult because I've had this experience. It's not like I'm not looking in my family for, like, when it comes to this strength training thing, I'm not looking in my family for examples necessarily, although my grandma was super strong in her own, like, resiliency. She had resiliency. And so that inspires me. And I feel like going on this journey, this strength training journey, is a way to get there. Because when I was younger, I actually wanted to be in the Army Reserve for the very same reason. It's not like I wanted to go fight a war for America, but I felt like the training of the reserve would make me be the type of person I needed to be to handle this world. For some reason, nobody told me necessarily that life was going to be hard, but somehow, I guess intuitively, I knew that I should go through this. And who knows what life would have, been like for me if I had gone down that road. But going through this journey has really been, it's a self-development journey. Health is self-development. There's so many parallels. It's crazy. The person you become in the process is really the gold at the end of the rainbow. Anyway, I hope this story time was helpful for you on your own journey from self-doubt to self-love, because honestly, this is what this is for me. My self-care practice, doing these things to have a stronger, healthier body, to have a better brain, is self-love. I care about myself. I care about my family. I want to have the body that can be in service to them. And that's what this whole thing is for and is about for me. So a couple key points, some takeaways from this is the importance of self-awareness, right? I was aware and I journaled a lot. We just did an interview on journaling. I journaled this whole process, what I'm doing in the weight room, how I was feeling, why it didn't work out, because it helps me to see what's going on, And I couldn't have had these ahas if I didn't come out of myself. And obviously those coaching calls really helped me look at it from some different angles too. Overcoming negative self-talk and building self-confidence. For me, this came with time and the guide of having the trainer there. So sometimes it's good to have support. Not sometimes, all the time. It's good to have support. She made me feel comfortable. She led the way. And her boldness was lent to me when I needed it. And now I'm able to go by myself because I don't need her boldness anymore. I have my own now. So transference. Get that support when you need, especially if you don't have it around you. And some practical strategies for maintaining self-love and wellness is just consistency. Consistency. Like I said, I have my strong why that helps me stick with it. When I'm in the moment, lifting these heavy weights, especially upper body. It's mostly upper body when I think about China, because China's arms work. Oh my gosh. Her arms were, like I'm telling you, she could go toe to toe with any man there. I channel her and I just think about her and I'm like, if she could do it, I could do it. I could do it. It just helps me push through. It helps me in the moment push through. And I keep showing up because the more you show up, the easier it gets. Those heavy weights get lighter over time. And then you just keep upping your game. And there's something about that. Like the level of confidence and pride you have in yourself when you conquer something that was so hard. It's an amazing feeling. Like even in the day when I'm not in the gym, I walk with confidence and pride. I just feel like I'm on top of the world because I handled a hard thing. I did a hard thing and I could feel it. Like after you engage all these muscles, You feel it in your body. You feel so strong. So I walk like I'm strong. No wonder their posture is so great, because their chest is lifted. You do that hard thing and you conquer it. It just permeates through every other area. I really encourage you on this path. And like I said, I've been on this path of strength training in particular, with a huge motivator being the health of my brain. And so if you are interested in how to boost brain health, I have a webinar coming up where you can learn how self-love, self-care can unlock the brain's potential and improve cognitive performance. It's literally called Unlock Your Brain's Potential, Foundational Principles and Practical Strategies for Cognitive Performance. I will make sure to have the link in the description to this video. If you're listening to the podcast, it will be in the show notes. And I really hope you come to it, because we are going to be really diving into how do you get your brain healthy so you show up as your best self at work and at home with the people you care about most. So I hope to see you there. And until next time, take care.